Welcome back, everybody. We are back in Second Chronicles. We're going to be in chapter 21 today. Now, just a brief recap on chapter 20, the previous chapter. King Jehoshaphat was the king in chapter 20, and he was the guy that defeated the entire army with a praise choir and 0 weapons. Yeah, he ruled in faith, wisdom, and a killer playlist, and now his son Jehoram, who inherits a blessed kingdom and proceeds to treat it like an expired coupon, takes the throne. So to kick off chapter 21, Jehoshaphat dies, Jehoram becomes the king. He's got brothers, a lot of them. And instead of forming a really cool royal brother band or a House of Judah podcast, what does he do? In verse 4 it says this: But when Jehoram had become solidly established as the king, he killed all his brothers and some of the other leaders of Judah. It's like he murdered all of his brothers. Thanks for the support, family, but you're all fired permanently. So his first act as king is murdering all his brothers. It's not exactly king of the year material. Am I right? Then Jehoram marries one of King Ahab's daughters. Now you guys remember King Ahab up in Israel. He was the evil king. He was married to Queen Jezebel, who was the evil queen. And the wife that Jehoram takes for himself is basically the princess of bad influence. So suddenly things start to go downhill for Judah very quickly. Verse 6 says, But Jehoram followed the example of the kings of Israel and was as wicked as King Ahab, for he had married one of Ahab's daughters. So Jehoram did what was evil in the Lord's sight. So he starts building these high places, which are basically shrines to false idols. He leads the people into a spiritual adultery, and he turns Judah into a hot mess of rebellion. God's like, all right, I promised David that I wouldn't wipe out his line, but Jehoram, you're making that promise really tough for me. Then, out of nowhere, Jehoram gets a letter from the prophet Elijah. Now, there's only one small problem here. Elijah's already gone. So it's like getting an email from someone who's been dead for years already, so you know it's serious. The letter starts in verse 12. It says, This is what the Lord, the God of your ancestor David says. You have not followed the good example of your father Jehoshaphat, or your grandfather King Asa of Judah. Instead, you have been as evil as the kings of Israel. You have led the people of Jerusalem and Judah to worship idols, just as King Ahab did in Israel. You have even killed your own brothers, men who are better than you. So now the Lord is about to strike you, your people, your children, your wives, and all that is yours with a heavy blow. You yourself will suffer with a severe intestinal disease that will get worse each day until your bowels come out. What? Elijah just prophesied exploding intestines for King Jehoram. That's not what you want to hear. I'm telling you. The closest thing I've had to exploding intestines is right after I ate Taco Bell. Am I right? I'm sorry. So then God allows the Philistines and the Arabs to raid Judah. They plunder everything, the palace, the wives, the sons. Only Jehoram's youngest son, Ahaziah, only he survives. But, spoiler alert, Ahaziah, he's not much better than his father. So then Jehoram gets hit with this prophesied disease in verse 18. It says, After all of this, the Lord struck Jehoram with an incurable intestinal disease. The disease grew worse and worse, and at the end of 2 years it caused his bowels to come out, and he died in agony. His people did not build a great funeral fire to honor him as they had done for his ancestors. That's quite a way to go, am I right? Basically, his insides quit before his reign did, and yikes. Now, here's what's interesting. Verse 20 says, Jehoram was 32 years old when he became the king, and he reigned in Jerusalem for 8 years. No one was sorry when he died. They buried him in the city of David, but not in the royal cemetery. No one was sorry when he died. Let that sink in for a minute. The Bible, which is usually very polite about death, literally says that no one cared, no one was sad about King Jehoram's death. I mean, that is... And they buried him, but not in the tomb with all the other kings. So Jehoram's reign ends like a bad Yelp review. 1 star, would not recommend, 0 stars if possible, worst king ever, hashtag bring back Jehoshaphat. Alright, let me end by saying this. King Jehoram inherited a kingdom. He inherited power, a good family legacy, God's favor. He still somehow managed to wreck it all because he let the wrong things rule his life. He let his ego, his fear, his bad influences, his comfort guide his decision making. So what is ruling you today? What is ruling me today? Is it our career? Is it our phones, our pride, our faith, we should be willing to be brutally honest with ourselves, and whatever is calling the shots in our daily choices is who our real king is. The second important question that we need to ask ourselves is, who am I letting influence me? Jehoram's downfall started when he started listening to King Ahab. He married one of his daughters, and his toxic relationship with King Ahab started the downfall for his entire kingdom. So, is there a voice or a habit in our lives that are quietly pulling us away from God and who we are meant to be? So I challenge you today, do something practical that puts God back on the throne in your life. Forgive somebody that you've written off. Shut down those toxic relationships or influences. Say no to something that feeds your ego instead of your soul. And carve out some time, 10 minutes of silence before your day. No phone. Be in God's Word. Be in prayer. And show some gratitude. Won't He do it?